Getting your documentary made is hard. A couple of weeks ago, a short documentary that I made was shared on Atlas Obscura. I got a couple of questions about how that came to happen, and so this video is going to be about how I made and distributed my short documentary. There are different approaches you can take when it comes to getting your short documentary made and out into the world. One of those is pitching to media outlets to collaborate on your piece or to commission your idea. This was how I started out. Over the last few weeks, I've been working on parts of the edit of a documentary that I filmed in January to do with the holidays, so it was timely and I needed to find a home for it over December. Been working on finding a home for a couple of months and I think I found it one finally. I had a call today which went well. Keep in mind that it's hard to get your stuff commissioned right now. Budgets are tight, competition is high. This is my experience and the feedback that I've got from other colleagues who are pitching and making short documentaries of this type. I wanted to tell you something useful about who is accepting commissions or pitches right now. The most useful thing I could think to share is based on a session that I went to at Sheffield DocFest. They had some commissioners of short form documentaries. The main two that stand out from there would be The Guardian and New York Times op docs. New York Times tends to come in at post-production stage. Guardian, I think most stages they're interested in hearing from. And then I'm going to leave the link in the description to another resource which is really useful. It's an interview with the exec at Atlas Obscura. And then a couple of other places are mentioned on this resource too. Also Business Insider has a few YouTube channels. I don't know if they're commissioning actively right now. And Euronews is another one. AJ Witness, Great Big Story. They're back on YouTube now. Nowness. If you can think of other places that accept commissions or pitches for short documentaries or distribute short documentaries, then leave them in the comments and we can help each other out. So let's talk about my journey to get this documentary made and shared. Around Christmas in 2022, I started to pitch a couple of media outlets by sending them a short treatment. Ideally, I wanted them to give me a budget to go and turn my idea into an actual short film. I didn't get any positive responses though, so I made the decision to go out without a commission and to film the idea that I developed without an official budget. By this point, Christmas time was over and the chances of finding the piece a home that year were slim to none. So I set aside some time in September or October 2023 to edit a trailer for the piece. I started reaching out to media outlets shortly after that with a short text pitch and a little trailer that I had edited of the footage I'd managed to capture. I got a no from BBC Travel, so I decided to target Atlas Obscura, who I thought could be a great fit for this piece. The way that you structure your pitch is going to depend a lot on who you're pitching to, what stage the project's at. So just to give you a little insight into how that could look, it's the same project, but just how I switch it to propose it to two different places. This is the pitch that I used for BBC Travel. Now, BBC Travel doesn't do just video, but they do sometimes have videos that illustrate an article. The video would be like an added element. And then this is the pitch that I used for Atlas Obscura. I had a 30-second trailer and I also had like a longer piece. Like they know their stuff about short documentaries. So I felt like a longer piece might be beneficial to help them to see where the narrative of the story would go. And I kept this text part a lot shorter than I did in the other one. I spent so long crafting that first pitch and then the second one was a little bit more. I just had to give myself more of a tight deadline. You know, perfectionism is not always the way, actually. It's almost never the way. So there you go, little look into my pitches. My tips. When approaching an outlet, be clear on what you're asking for and what they are likely or aren't likely to finance or commission. For example, development of an idea versus the shoot itself, versus coming on at post-production stage, or just being some kind of distribution partner. Make sure your project actually is a really good fit for the outlet. Looking at their sites and their socials to see what sorts of short films they actually distribute is a good start. Adjust your pitch to the stage that your project is at and the outlet that you're pitching to. So maybe you're just going to send over a short email pitch versus a whole treatment PDF, or even a short trailer. Don't expect to rely on the method that I'm describing to you to make your project profitable if you're just starting out. And finally, think strategically. For example, I've produced some really cool documentaries for some great broadcasters, but I was always just one small cog in a much bigger machine for those. On the flip side, I've produced some great documentaries alone as well, but a lot of the time I featured in those or they ended up on my own platforms. I wanted a piece that I didn't feature in that I could use as a portfolio asset that was finally shared on platforms that weren't my own. So this partnership with Atlas Obscura was the ideal way for me to be able to check off those goals. I hope those tips were useful for you. As for me, what's next? Moving on to new projects, but also I think I will spend some time seeing if I can submit this film to any short festivals and really try to optimize the lifespan of this project. I've got a lot of plans for 2024, and completing this video you're watching actually marks the completion of one of those goals, which was to publish monthly videos for the second half of 2023. So this isn't goodbye, but I'm just going to be cutting down to sharing videos only when I feel like I've got something meaningful to share about the behind the scenes of making a documentary. Leave your questions in the comments and I will see you soon. Happy New Year! Bye!
Non ha una slitta come Babbo Natale.
Traditionally, the event was a bonfire. The level of pollution in the air in Padua is really high.
3, 2, 1.
We are in a really flowing situation in which traditions are connecting and intertwining. So we are trying to renew the tradition.